I put this in. Empty packet. Right. Just to confirm what we mentioned yesterday. It's the thin ones, dark, right? And it says on it, if we read what it says, Avodat Yad Tviat Gavra, right? It's the tvia, the spinning has been done by hand, right? And it also says somewhere, the line above, sorry, the shemoneh-esrei from sheep's wool, kaful shemoneh, folded over 8 times. So that's we saw in the Biur Halacha, and one needs shazira, it has to be twisted, a minimum of twice. And the halacha-theory we saw in the Biur Halacha, the mitzvah min mahajin is to do it 8 times.
And even the dark is 8 times.
And even the dark one, even the thin one is 8 times, right? And I saw someone, why does it have to be 8 times? Where does it come from, the idea of 8? Because with the big kahuna, some of them say in them, some of them are described with the word moshzor, mem shin zayin reish, which is the same word as shazira, comes from the same word shin zayin reish, it's the same root, moshzor. And the Gemara says that all the big kahuna which say moshzor, each chut was made of 8 chutim twisted together. Right. It says all the ones that had say moshzor were made of 8. And therefore, shazira by Titz Tzit lechatchila, because it's the same as shazira, and the lechatchila one should do 8 times. So that's how we see even the thin ones have been twisted 8 times. And as we mentioned, it's done by hand because of to do it lishma.
The spinning is done by hand.
The spinning is done by hand. Yeah, this one's just the spinning. We mentioned there's an extra chumrah to get the ones that the niputs, the carding was also done by hand. Right. We said that's an extra chumrah. And we mentioned it's really double chumrah because it's even if it was done by machine, it's still being done for the mitzvah tzitzis, and there are opinions that hold that also counts as lishma. Right. So some hold you don't need niputs lishma at all, and even if you need niputs lishma, it could be a machine that helps. Right. So it's a chumrah to buy niputs lishma. One can't get those.
The machine could be considered koach gabra. If a person starts the machine,
right, it could be that's considered, correct.
Can I borrow that? I'm going to see if I can get. David, do you want each of the 4 of us to do 1/4 of a pair of tzitzis, or do you want to make your own tzitzis?
I'm easy.
You're easy.
Yeah.
And your original thought that we take 1 pair of tzitzis each.
I think we take 1 corner.
Okay, so I'm going to try to buy a baguette and 4 tzitzis, and then we'll each tie 1 corner.
Right. Okay, let's continue now. We're up to Seif Gimel, right? Siman Yud Aleph, Seif Gimel, which is on page 39. Okay. In this Parukush Mishazirosam, this is very common, especially if they've been through the washing machine, the tzitzis, right? That they can unravel, the tzitzis unravel. Okay. V'nasu tes zayin. So what happens is, he has 8 strings in the tzitzis, right? The tzitzis has 8 strings, and each one, the assumption is that each one has been twisted out of 2 strings, right? Each one is twisted out of 2, and they're all 8 of them unraveled, divided up into their 2. So we now have 2 times 8, which is 16. Okay, that's it. It's still kosher. Okay, this is going to be a very important concept. This concept of kedei aniva. Kedei aniva literally means the amount of string you need to make a bow. Right. This is the minimum length we're going to see. We'll talk about it in depth when we talk about tzitzis that have snapped. Right. The minimum length one needs left in the tzitzis to remain kosher is kedei aniva. The shir of kedei aniva. How long is it the amount one needs to make a bow? According to the shir of Reb Chaim Noah, it's 4 centimeters. According to the shir of the Chazon Ish, it's 4.8 centimeters. Okay, that's the minimum shir we need for the string to remain kosher. So the unraveled part does not count towards the shir. One needs of the part that has not unraveled. One needs to the kedei aniva, which is 4 centimeters of Reb Chaim Noah, and then
so that's like 1.5 inches, roughly.
Yes, Reb Chaim Noah is about 1.5 inches, and the Chazon Ish is just under 2 inches.
Right.
So as long as it only unraveled up to 1.5 inches, you're good.
Yes.
As long as you have 1.5 inches that hasn't unraveled.
That hasn't
Correct.
unraveled.
Correct.
Yeah.
Between the final knot, between the fifth knot
Right.
and the beginning of the unraveling.
Right.
Is there something to do to keep it from further unraveling? If it's right
Excellent
near that
question.
point?
Excellent. Let's read the Ramah. He heard your question. Let's read the Ramah. He's going to answer your question. Hagor lechatchila toiv likshor hachutin lemata. So the Ramah says, in order to prevent it unraveling, it's a good idea to knot each string at the bottom of it to make a little knot, and that will stop it unraveling. That's
At the very end.
At the very end.
So it never starts unraveling.
Correct.
Correct.
That's the trick of the Ramah.
That's interesting. Are we noeg like that?
We'll see in the Mishnah Berurah. Okay. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah now. So come Tez Zayin. Okay. Right, let's skip over Test Zayin. Let's go to Yud Zayin. Okay. Test Zayin we can't quite do it at the moment because in Test Zayin he's discussing. We haven't seen yet how many. If a number of strings get snapped, how many need to snap to puzzle the tzitzis? We haven't seen yet. He's discussing that now with regard to unraveling. How many need to unravel? So we haven't seen that yet. So we'll wait till we get there. It'll be the same halacha. When we talk about snapping, it'll be the same with unraveling. How many need to unravel in order to puzzle the tzitzis? We'll see when we get to snapping. Let's carry on with Tzidkot Yud Zayin. Kedei Aniva. Okay. But the Yesh Poisland, he's also going to talk a bit about this how many need to pass it. Avagav the Yesh Poisland and Mystical Kulon, Afilu Nishtaya Kedei Aniva. Masha Kosa Senior Base. Mekom Bishazira Samchilan Adei Rishon Adehuksa Kavase Kamosha Posak Shom. This is again something we're going to see in Timid Base with regard to the strings snapping. Here we're saying with regard to unraveling, it's not quite the same halacha, the way we pass on halacha, right? So with regard to unraveling, even if every single string has unraveled, and there's only Kedei Aniva, only this 1.5 inches left of each string, then it's kosher. With snapping, we're going to see we don't pass in that way. With unraveling, each string just has to have a Kedei Aniva that's left, not unraveled, in order to be kosher. The Shulchan, as we mentioned, is talking about where each string has been twisted out of two threads. If it's been twisted from 4 or from 8, like we do nowadays, which is the mitzvah number of Chur, it should be from 8. Like in the days of the Mishnah, they also did it with 8. Then each and it's split up into where the Yud Vav 16. Right, which one's going to?
And why isn't it Test Zayin?
Right, here.
Usually we say Test Zayin for 16.
Yeah.
So 16 says Yud Vav.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. 16. So how's he going to? If he's taking the same number as the Shulchan Aruch, Test Zayin of 16. Right. Here, where each one is divided, if each chut was twisted from 4, you would need 4 to unravel to get 16. Right. No, you wouldn't, because you've got 4 left. I don't know how he's doing the count, but either way, he's talking about strings of 4 strings that have been made out of threads twisted from 4 or 8 that have become unraveled. The number 16 here is not so relevant. Kosher. Oh, I understand what he's saying. He's saying that what happened here is that each string divided into 2. Of your 8 strings, you have 8 strings in the tzitzis, each one got divided into 2. Okay?
Fold it over. Is that
each
how
string, each string from the 8 tzitzis, he's got 8 tzitzis here, let's say 8 tzitzis, each one got divided into 2. Now each one of these 2, right, each one is made up of how much?
8 strings.
It was made of 8. Now it's split into 2. So each one is still made of 4. Again, if this individual string splits into 2, this is made out of 8 twisted together. If it was now to split into 2,
there'd be 4 and 4.
There'd be 4 and 4.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right?
So it doesn't completely unravel. You have two sets of
4. Exactly. So that's what we're talking about now. So you're saying then it's still kosher, even if you haven't got a kedei aniva, it's still kosher.
That sounds like
because each individual one is still made up of
right.
It needs a minimum of 2. It needs a minimum of 2 twisted of 2 to still be kosher. So you wouldn't need the shear of kedei aniva.
That sounds like the mila of 8 is even if it unravels, you
Yeah.
still have enough that you're not worried about it.
Right. That's not the reason why we do 8, but it turns out that we have the byproduct is we have an extra mile that comes out of it. Yes. So here's an interesting question: why there's not a problem here of Baal Tosef? If one puts more than 8 strings on one's Titz Tzit, it's Baal Tosef. So here one has 16.
Right.
So maybe it's Baal Tosef. So if we look at the Halacha, it discusses this. If we look in mine, it's 4 lines from the bottom. There's a different masra v'nasu yudvav, and then it starts ein b'mishabur. Yeah. So he says v'imnispark lo chut echad l'shnayim v'lo nisha kedei aniva v'vaday kosher. Ach kedei shelo yavo Baal Tosef, in order not to be over Baal Tosef, so it shouldn't be a problem of adding. He's got too many strings. He should say verbally that he's not happy with the addition. He doesn't want the addition there. Or he should cut off the extra ones. So that they remain 8. So that only 8 remain.
He should cut off them.
Yeah, he should either say that he's that the 8 of them are not. Some of the extra ones are not there for the mitzvah. He doesn't want them there for the mitzvah, or he should cut them. Either say it verbally, or he should cut them. One or the other. Let's continue. Another halacha which is important. He's talking here where the strings go through the hole in the garment. Right? What happens if over there it unraveled? It's less common because both ends go into the knot. Right. But it could in theory unravel there. Right? What's the halacha? Efshar de kosher. He's not sure. The Mishabur is masupik if that's kosher or not. He says it could be it's kosher.
It's almost impossible for it to happen, it seems to me, without actually breaking the strings.
It could happen. You could definitely do it by hand. One could definitely separate strings. Pull the. So
if you have a 6-year-old child, it could happen. But what you've done is it's reasonably snug, and then you're tying a knot. Right?
The first knot.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
So that holds that loop into position, it seems to me.
Right.
And it doesn't usually unravel between the knots either.
It doesn't usually. Right? It could in theory, and also it would depend how well the strings were spun in the first place. Obviously, what we have now are very good quality ones.
Right.
It could be if it was done if it wasn't such good quality, it could be small.
Yeah, I've never had them unravel above the knot.
No, never seen it there either. Yeah. Okay, let's continue now. Let's go back to the Mishnah verse. We've got Yud Ches. That's 2 lines from the bottom of the Mishnah verse. Toiv liksha. V'yesh oimrim. The other Rabbi Eliezer Toiv sheloi liksha. The Mishnah, the Gemara said, in order to prevent it unraveling, a good piece of advice is to not eat string at the end of the string. Okay. Right. The Mishnah says that some say it's better not to do an extra knot. So there shouldn't be. He doesn't say mention the reason. The main reason is there shouldn't be extra knots. Right? One shouldn't add extra knots. We already have 5 double knots. One shouldn't add any extra knots to the tzitzis. Therefore, the Mishnah says it's preferable not to. It's preferable to be machmir, not to knot the strings at the end. If they are well twisted, and therefore it's not common that they're going to unravel, it's preferable not to knot them. Okay, our tzitzis are well twisted. There's unlikely they'll unravel. If one puts them through the washing machine without any of these, you can buy things nowadays to put around them, or people put them in. If one doesn't do that, one just puts it in the washing machine stum. Then it is very shriach they're going to unravel. In which case one should knot it. Or another to avoid this problem of knotting, I once had another piece of another idea is to just put a drop of glue at the end of each one.
Yeah, People very often use this clear nail polish.
Or nail polish,
You just dip it into the nail polish at the bottom.
Dip a bit of nail polish.
Right, and it seals it.
Yeah.
You know. And it's waterproof too. So.
Yeah. It's also a good idea. Okay, that avoids the problem of the machmirim who prefer not to add extra knots.
Now when he said if you end up with too many strings, you should cut it. Are you allowed to cut it with scissors, or does that have to be cut in some other way?
Excellent question. We're going to see that it does say that one shouldn't cut. Preferably one should not cut tzitzis with scissors.
Right.
It took me a long time to work out what is the best way to cut them. I've worked out what the best way. The best way to cut tzitzis is with a stone, sharp stone. Stones to cut tzitzis.
Yeah, the alternative now is a better way. Actually,
okay, what's the
ceramic knife.
Okay.
Ceramic knife is a stone.
Right.
It's a very sharp stone.
If one has one.
Yeah,
Stones are available for all of us.
I have 6 of them sitting around my house.
So we're having those. Okay.
They're not that uncommon now. Actually.
Okay. For those who have it, that's,
now we have a reason to get one.
I have one just for Titz Tzit.
Really?
Yeah. It's a paring knife.
See who you're dealing with over here.
Okay. Okay. We only have 2 minutes left. We can't start the next sif because it's a long sif. However,
maybe what we can discuss. Why is it called Kehilla Keren Ami? What's the?
We'll talk more about Kehilla Keren Ami when we talk about the tzitzis snapping. We'll talk more about Kehilla Keren Ami. But let's just talk a little bit about. We're going to start. We're going to talk about the length of the tzitzis, gudolim, right, which is the length of the tzitzis. We mentioned there's 2 main shiurim. There's the shiur of Chaim Noah and the shiur of the Chazon Ish. Chaim Noah was the Rav in Yerushalayim. Not so long ago, 70, 80 years ago in Yerushalayim. And his shiurim, he says that was minhag Yerushalayim. It's describing what the minhag Yerushalayim in those days were. Right? The machlokes in the shiurim ranges across the whole range of shiurim, from the shiurim of length, which are etzba, tefach, amo, across to the shiurim of volume, right? Kazayis and
his name comes up a lot around Pesach time.
Right, exactly. It was the same machlokes we had at Pesach time, right? The difference is much more significant when we talk about shiurim of volume, right? Because anyone who is familiar with maths knows that if you take to get volume, one has to multiply the length, the width, and the breadth. If you add just a small amount to each side, the length, the width, and the breadth, then the difference is going to be threefold when it comes to the volume. Right? So here, when we're talking about the shiur with the gudol, the etzba here, according to the Reb Chaim Noah, right, that's the width across here, right? According to Reb Chaim Noah, it's just 2, and according to the Chazon Ish, 2.4. It's not such a big difference. Whereas when it comes to the shiur of the kibbutza,
a revi.
Revius. In times of Pesach, we're more familiar with a revius. A revius is 1.5 beats. Yeah? Right. The shiur of the Chazon Ish is 150, whereas Reb Chaim Noah is 86. Right? It's okay. So it's 22. We'll stop now. We'll continue tomorrow with the length of the tzitzis.
Sunday.
Yeah.
The next day.
Well, I always say tomorrow.
Hour tomorrow.
I always the Rashi says by it was also connected to today's night. It says